Hello, YouTube. This is Thomas Productions here, back again. So, if you're all wondering, I'm now one of EOR's friends. Well, almost. But yeah, I already had his friend request on, and yeah, I do want to review one of his movies because I never got around to telling him my opinion on this one called Believe the Mystery. Believe the Mystery is actually a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. Oh, sorry about that. Keep in mind that many things will appear up on my screen, so be sure not to quote me on that. Anyway, so this movie is a wild ride, I could say. We're going to be discussing its characters, we'll be discussing what's good about it, and I will talk about the criticisms I had with it after. So, yeah. Anyways, this big movie is the final movie of the Take on Sodor series. I basically love the Take on Sodor series. It's pretty enjoyable. But yeah, this this movie is so much better. All right, let's jump into it. Shall we? All right, let's get into it. All right, so this part is going to be very interesting because there is so much to talk about so much to talk about this 79-minute movie. All right. So basically the plot is that Thomas is enjoying his life on the island of Sodor until he came across Big City Engine, who is a ghost at Blue Mountain Quarry. And yeah, let's go on with the other plot. So yeah, there's basically the plots that there are many plots that I like. Yeah, like this one for example. All right, yeah. I wait, no, I take that back. I take all those words back about the plot. Well, plot is good. I just started off very badly. So let's try again. I'm gonna retake on that. Whoops. Alright, so the plot is that everyone is enjoying their time on the island of Sodor. Until one day, Dave gets someone called Dave? I forget what his name is. Voiced by Engines of Roblox himself. I can't remember who voiced him, but I hope I'm correct. He tells Paxton that he's dropping off a book about Boko to his son. Yeah, the first part is very forgettable. But anyways, Paxton is off to the Blue Mountain Quarry to collect some trucks. And Scarloey tells him to be careful, who is voiced by Donald Douglas 2000. And then a rock slide happens, and then something. Meanwhile, a rock slide happens at the Blue Mountain Quarry, and all breaks loose after this. Like, God, this is so good. And then here is the funniest part no one could ever imagine. Look at this god. Oh my god, I love this. And I also love this god dang intro. It's from, like, oh my god, the intro music is epic. It is so inspiring and wowing, what I would say. Yeah. Like, oh my god, this intro is a wild ride. And this movie is actually the sequel to Believe and Do, which I will talk about in another discussion video. And this movie is written by Engines of Roblox and Donald Douglas 2000. Huh, pretty interesting. Huh. And yeah, as always, it's filmed on Roblox, so yeah, why should I? Yeah, many talented voice actors. Huh, that's nice. And I will be talking about the voice actors as well. And I love how it's actually inspired by the Loud House movie. It's kind of interesting that they would do such. such a thing like that. It's like the Loud House movie and Blue Mountain Mystery combined together to make Believe the Mystery. Like, oh my god, this is wowing. Anyways, back on with the plot. So after that, after Paxton has his accident, Thomas is going to take over Paxton's jobs. And then we encounter with the next song, Working Together. Pretty nice. And yeah, let's keep going. And then, probably somewhere almost to the start of the film, Sir Handel then reveals a secret that he doesn't want to reveal, like something. And that secret is that he was hiding Luke. I love Luke in this. He's actually pretty much the child character, and Sir Handel is just trying to protect him. And yeah, this is almost kind of similar, almost like an individual copy to Blue Mountain Mystery, but here's my defense. I don't care. Well, you know what? This just looks just like Blue Mountain Mystery, so just trash it. Doesn't matter. So yeah, let's keep going with the plot. All the other engines are starting to question what happened to Thomas, and Thomas didn't want to tell them about Luke. So yeah, let's keep going. And then Thomas randomly tells Mr. Percival to expand the track, to put the tracks on the upper terrace. Great movie so far. And then Edward comes and decides to help out. Until then, Thomas meets Big City Engine after a long time. Big City Engine tells Thomas that he cannot leave the island of Sodor, because that's the reason why he's stuck on Sodor, because he's a ghost. Right. And then after that, Thomas just wants to tell everybody, but then he falls off a cliff and then dies. Wow. What an ordeal. And then the noise literally came from everywhere? Oh my god. That is just surprising. And Thomas just actually got injured. And then when he gets to the steam works, Victor tells him a story about him and Luke. Although they didn't speak the same language back then. And then Thomas comes back to the quarry and he requested to spend more time with Luke, I think. And then he and Luke started to work together. Very nice. What a good relationship these two had. Then after that, we can see Edward trying to help whatever the heck he's doing. I forgot. So like, Edward's trying to deliver a train of cattle trucks to the docks. Alright. And then it randomly starts snowing the next day. Wow. And then Thomas and Edward just go in the snow, like going on a mission, and then they take pictures of Luke. Okay, that's pretty much interesting. Okay? And then Sir Handel tries to hide Luke. Like, they run away from the quarry? What is up with you, Sir Handel? What is in your dang mind? Oh my god. And then Thomas strangely finds Luke, and then Diesel finally finds Luke on a strange old track. Weird. And then Sir Handel is sad and gets his own musical song. And I forgot the lyrics because I've never seen this before. And then Diesel takes Luke to a scrapyard. Wow. And then Thomas just interrogates Sir Handel like a suspect. And then finally Sir Handel reveals and spits out the truth. I think. And Thomas and Sir Handel go on a mission to rescue Luke. Is that right? And something random happens here. Somehow, Sonic is pushing Thomas at high speeds. Like, what? Okay, I'll get to that when we finish the plot and characters. And then, in true fashion, Thomas rescued Luke. And then, just like magic, Big City Engine Ghost comes along and rescues Thomas, Luke, and Sir Handel. What a great ending. And then they all just sort of talk and chat or stuff. Like, yeah. But I'll, of course, get to my criticisms when we get to those. And then they get their own musical, and then all three engines get their musical number as they arrive at the Blue Mountain Quarry, which is very, very fun. And then Mr. Percival just questions what Sir Handel and Thomas are doing with Luke. And then they all start talking about Luke or something. And then they randomly see Big City Engine the Ghost. I don't know how they're able to see him. But I do have to say, the ending is wonderful. I entirely and truly loved the ending. And that was the end on the Take on Sodor series. And then, it's not all over yet. We go to 10 years later, which was 2020. Wait, no, not 2020. Which was 2032. Or 2031, if you count 9. I don't know. You don't count 2032 or something. I don't know. And this ending almost gave me tears. Like, oh my god, this ending is so beautiful, I almost shed a tear. And like, yeah, business was running as usual, but there are some changes to this. Like, I mean, Bearer and Scotsman and Shima are running on the railway. And then there's a banner that says Gordon's last run from Knapford to Vickerstown. Oh my god. This is his final run of his entire life. And Donald and Douglas are now returning to their home in Scotland. But they're truly coming back because they're going on another trip. And then Luke and Sir Handel are just busy back in the quarry. And yeah. And Scarlo and Renee's last day of running. Oh my god. And Toby is like still alive to this day. So is Edward. And Gordon is having his final run. And Thomas is just having an eternal life and has its never-ending timelessness. Before we get into the characters, I do want to talk about the songs. The songs are pretty interesting to me, and they are great, especially the ending song, which is from Blue Mountain Mystery. And it is my favorite song of all, and it is the greatest song that is from this movie.
Everyone plays a part, but deep inside the old tunnels.
Alright, so that's the plot. Now, let's move on to the characters.
Too scared to say his name.
Okay, so characters are going to be really fun to talk about. First off, we have Thomas. Thomas had a great year in this movie. Thomas had the greatest movie of his entire life. Well, this show had its great movie of its entire life. Thomas had a pretty much big role this year. And yeah. So Thomas has a pretty big role this year, and I do want to give him a shout out to that. I do want to give Thomas a shout out to having the big role ever. Next, I'll mention Edward. Edward had a pretty good year as well. Not the biggest role there is, but he's still a convinced plot. He is still a side character to this movie, and then is probably much forgotten about again. And yeah, I'll get to my criticisms like after this section. So yeah, Edward had a pretty good year in this movie. So yeah. Next is Big City Engine. Unexpectedly, he also had a pretty big role too. Who tells Thomas he can't go over the bridge. Who can't go over the Vickerstown Rolling Bridge because he's a ghost. And yeah, I do want to give him a shout out to that. And then I'll mention Sir Handel. Sir Handel had a pretty good year as well, but not. And he tries to hide something which is very, very tempting. So yeah, he's also gonna get a shout out to be having the role to this. So yeah. I also want to mention the darting little green engine himself, Luke. Luke is also having a role. Luke also has a role in this, which is pretty interesting, and I do want to give him a shout out to that. So one main character and four side characters, all in one movie. Also, Victor had a good role too, but it's not as big as it looks. I think he should have been more present in this. I wish he could have been more present in this, but yeah, you know how the plot goes, right? In Blue Mountain Mystery. And then, okay, now let's get to my criticisms. Okay, okay, let's move on. Before we get to the start of the criticisms, let's talk about my favorite parts of this, because wow, there are actually a lot of things I like myself. And yeah, let's get into those. First off, I do like to start with the opening scene. The opening song is pretty much very good. It's like the All Engines Go song this is like the song from All Engines Go. Like, wow, this song sounds pretty interesting. And yeah, it's basically a Percy song, so yeah, it's pretty good. Moving on. Next, I would love to mention the intro of this movie. The song is actually from The Loud House towards almost the middle of the film, but although it's lower pitched, and I do honestly prefer that version much better to the normal pitched version, which is so dull. But I do love this one. I love the intro. I love it. I love the intro. I even love the cast of characters. So it's gone from its story to its plot to its cast of characters. But of course we'll get to those at the end. yeah, so let's keep going. The next thing I would like to mention is that Duncan gets a speaking role, but he is never really seen for the rest of the movie. I wish he could have been more present in this movie, but yeah, you know how the story goes. Duncan isn't really in Blue Mountain Mystery, so I think Engines of Roblox didn't. I think EOR didn't know what to do with him. But obviously, he just wanted to have him a speaking role, I think. I think that's the case. I don't know. And basically, and I love Big City Engine talking about what happened back in Believe and Do. It was such a good flashback sequence. It is a heck of a ride. Next thing I would love to mention is Victor's story. It's pretty much an interesting one. So yeah, we get to learn much about Victor's past lately before he came to the Steamworks after he arrived from Cuba. So yeah, that's kind of an interesting part. Actually, I do want to zip back a bit before that story. So, before the story of Victor, we see a scene where Thomas just goes off the cliff and literally almost kills himself. Oh my god, like, Rusty literally heard that. I don't know how Rusty heard that. Like, oh my god, that's just so bad. But, yeah. Ouch. Ouch, Thomas, you gotta really be careful. Next thing I would love to mention is the ending. The ending is so beautiful. And I love the 10 years later scene. It is so beautiful, I almost shed a tear. Like, oh my god, and it is the best piece of things to work on. And it is, my opinion, the best scene of the Take on Sodor series. Alright, now let's get on to my quote unquote criticisms with it. The criticisms I have with this movie is that the plot is just so forgettable and not really that interesting. And the scenes where Thomas is just moping around is just so dull and boring. And also the scenes where Edward is moping around is just so dull as well. Like, it's just sort of forgettable and not really that interesting. But yeah. And worst of all, Thomas randomly asks the Thin controller to literally do the ridiculous thing a crane that an engine could ever do. And that would be adding tracks to the upper terrace. No one cares. Oh my god. Who wants to watch a movie where all of these standard gauge engines go up the upper terrace? Not me. Well, only if it's entertaining, and this one is. So yeah. So it is in my opinion, that worst part of the entire movie. Thomas asking to add tracks up the upper terrace is just so ridiculous. No one cares! Oh my god. But overall, it's all just good. So, let's move on. But actually, wait, hold up. I still have one more thing to say. And I take that best part back. This is actually the funniest part of the entire movie, the beginning of it. Take a listen to when what Mr. Conductor says.
Aye, 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 aye. All aboard!
I have to give that a lull. It is just so funny. I love this. But overall, this movie is too anticlimactic. But overall, most of it is just good. I'd say I put it above average. So, yeah. I obviously could give this movie. Well, let's talk about my opinions on. Let's talk about how I describe this movie. Okay, so the word I would use to describe this movie as comfy action. Although this movie is kind of dull, although some of it is pretty much comfy and peaceful. And there's a lot of action. There's mostly some action in it as well that I really like the songs, for example, and the engines crashing off the tracks. And that is pretty much, yeah, what I think in my opinion. Alright, so after this, I'd probably hang out with EOR just to explain some of this stuff. Because, well, he's almost my friend. He said he agreed to this, and I just told him my username, and I'm pretty sure he'll respond back if he sees my message, and if he sees my message in the morning or like sometime. And yeah, my dream of becoming his friend has finally come true. And Engines of Roblox, this is going to change my life forever. I loved. I am going to so love being your friend. Watching you make stuff or like or chatting with me on Discord. If you don't know, I have a Discord account already. And I have a Discord server now, so that you can talk to me or request a video whenever you want. So, yeah. I link in the description if you want to join my Discord server. If it doesn't work for you, then you can just simply request in the description. And then, or wait, you could just simply request in the comments. Or if you want to give me a shout out for probably doing this video to just show you how good or bad it is, or how above decent it is. And this movie is overall pretty interesting. And I do not, well, since I don't like its plot, it's still very confusing. But yeah, this movie overall is just so good. I love it. Wait. I still have one more thing to tell you. So, voice actors are going to be kind of hard to talk about. Because there's so much I can't even remember. Only I can remember a little bit. So, first of all, I do know that Thomas, I think. Okay, let me check the end credits for a second so that I know who is voicing who. Alright, so Thomas's voice actor, Hayden, did a pretty good voice for Thomas, and he almost sounds like the engines of Roblox. He almost actually sounds like him. But yeah, they almost sound alike, but yeah. I do love Hayden's performance on Thomas. I personally do. Next actor is the Engines of Roblox himself, voicing Sir Handel. He did a pretty good role in this. He did a pretty good voice in this for Sir Handel. mostly love his Sir Hannah voice. Yeah, and I can't wait to see what Luke's voice. I can't wait to see who Luke's voice actor is. But we'll of course get to that. And next character is Luke himself, voiced by Donald Douglas 2000, who also voices Skarloey. And that's pretty much interesting. And the Engines of Roblox also voices Edward. That's pretty interesting. I never knew that at first. But yeah, moving on. Haydn also voices Big City Engine. That's nice. I gotta say, way to go. And Five Nights at Ray's voices Victor. Victor, who works at the Steamworks. I gotta say, he did a pretty good performance. He sounded very much like Victor. And my only one good friend, Dominic Rossi, or Dominic Rosie, I don't know how the heck you pronounce it, performed a pretty good voice for Diesel. I gotta say, Dominic Rossi, I have to give you a shout out to that, my friend. And next actor I should mention, Thomas Fan 98, who voices Dennis. Dennis had a pretty good role in this, but yeah, he didn't have pretty much a big pretty much of a big appearance. He only appeared in this like couple shots or so, but yeah, Thomas Fan 98 lended a good voice to him. And Donald Douglas 2000, who also voices Skarloey. I gotta say, Donald Douglas 2000, you are one talented voice actor for Skarloey. You did very well. So yeah. And Thomas the Roblox Wooden Train. Wow, I know him. He did a voice for Mr. Percival. I have to give him a shout out for that. And Fairly Odd Engine Creations. Wow, you did a pretty good voice for Sir Top Hat. And I gotta say, you did pretty well. Next character I should oh wait, it's the same actor but a different character. And Donald Douglas 2000 again, voicing Gordon. I think it suits you. You did a pretty good job. The Engines of Roblox voicing Percy. Wow. Percy didn't get a pretty big role in this. I wish he could have taken Edward's place, but you know, typical story continuity. And yeah, Uber Duck Neil Crone voiced Rheneas. And yeah, that's nice. And Uber Duck Pierce Brosnan as the narrator. I don't know. And some others are narrators. I don't know, but the Engines of Roblox voices Dave. I forgot his name. So yeah, his name is just very, very forgettable. And Donald Douglas 2000 also voices Paxton. Wow, Paxton, looks like you're lucky. And he also voices Peter Sam. How many voice actors? Oh my god, Engines of Roblox voices Rocky. Oh my god, Thomas Roblox Wooden Train voices Salty. Engines of Roblox is Cranky. Oh my god. And that's pretty much it, folks. Those are all of the voice actors. Now, let's get to my favorite part of the entire movie. Okay, so my favorite part of the entire movie is
When I'm with you, we rock and we roll.
the end credits. The song is so beautiful. I love it. Engines of Roblox, you chose the right song because you are one talented video maker. I gotta say, this is very much a beautiful song, and it suits you very well. And I could sing to this all day. Like, oh my god, this obviously almost blew my mind. Like, holy smokes, this is the best thing I could ever find. Of course, I'd use this song in one of my movies, but My god, I had to cough because I've been doing a lot of talking. But yeah, I do give out credit to those voice actors. Woo! And Engines of Roblox, you too. I have to give you credit for that. And I mostly love you all talented voice actors for making their beautiful debut, and some of them making their debut voices for many others. And I personally love this. And I hope you all very much enjoy the song as the video ends.
When I'm with you, we rock and we roll. You make me happy, you make me bold. Nothing is hard, 'cause I'm feeling safe. This is our song, our tale of the brave. When I'm with you, we rock and we roll. You make me happy, you make me bold. Nothing is hard, 'cause I'm feeling safe. This is our song, our tale of the brave. Our tale of the brave.
Hold up. I do have one more thing to say. One more thing I have to say. This is a new beginning of a new adventure.
What's going on?
Alright, everyone, so I hope you enjoyed this review, and thank you all so much for watching. And shout out to the talented voice actors of Believe the Mystery. I hope everyone has a good day or night, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye!